Would you believe that I was once very, very shy? Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and most welcome guests. Many years ago, I was having a lot of trouble at work because of the shyness. I was having a lot of difficulty communicating with people, especially if the one I was communicating with was an authority figure. And talking to a group of people, that was just terrified me. This was getting so bad that my supervisor had mentioned to me many times that I probably should join Toastmasters because that would be a way for me to get beyond my shyness and get on with my career and perhaps even improve my personal life. Now, this was a big thing for me. I was terrified of public speaking, and Toastmasters just struck me as being the worst possible thing I could ever do. So it took me quite a while before I got around to it. But fortunately for me, the Area 10 Toastmasters at that time had been working very hard on publicity, and they had televised at least one speech of the Area 10 contest, which quite by chance, I had a chance to see. It made a huge difference for me because it turned my impression of what Toastmasters was to something that would interest me, something that could help me. I saw that. So I then approached the many people I knew that were Toastmasters and got an interview. And one person volunteered to take me there so that I would feel more confident. Unfortunately, just that day, when the first meeting was come up, this was for the Chalk River Labs Toastmasters Club. She was running late, and she told me to go ahead by myself. Well, at that point, I was starting to, not late yet, but I was going to be late if I didn't hustle. So I moved quickly to get there and rushed into the meeting room and then stopped dead. Because then I looked around and I saw this big conference room full of very important and very busy people getting ready for a meeting. And heaven forbid, you might have got the idea that I'm terrified of management. I thought I had walked into a high-level management meeting. Wow. I was thinking at that moment, do I flee back as quick as possible, back out that door? But then I noticed the Toastmaster banner up there, and I figured, I'm in the right place after all. Perhaps I just squeeze into the back of the room there and nobody noticed me. But before I had a chance to really make a decision on that or take any action on that, one of the people at the table noticed me and came over and welcomed me over to the table. And by the time I got back to the table, over to the table, the people there, even though they were very busy getting ready for the meeting, and the table was really already crowded, they moved aside a little bit more and made room for me at the table. I felt very welcome. So I got to see some speeches again and even see the dreaded table topics. But by the end of that meeting, they had accepted me as a member. So I was very happy and very pleased with being there. Now, it took a while later before I had the courage to get up in front of everybody and give my icebreaker speech, my first icebreaker speech. And I had prepared every word I was going to say on a sheet of paper. And it was, how should I say, sopping wet with my sweat by the time I finished that first icebreaker. But it was done, made me feel good. My evaluator said some nice things, but my courage to get there probably wasn't my best speech by a long shot. Anyway, that started my career. I started becoming more able to speak with people because of my things I was learning at Toastmasters. My confidence was building. Before long, actually it took a while, but still, I got much more confident, being able to make much more personal contacts, meeting people. In fact, because I was working away on small assignments, I managed by myself with my own contacts to land a great promotional opportunity where I was working directly for a customer without being part of a team. I landed the contract myself. This really helped my career. In fact, at that point, this brought my career right up against the glass ceiling. It just bang, it really made a big step in the right direction for me. When that contract was over, a year and a half long, I came back to another quite significant improvement in terms of job satisfaction, opportunities, that sort of stuff, although I was still up against that glass ceiling at that point. That job was really great, but unfortunately, the whole project crashed and burned because the project was suddenly cut. Then I found myself competing with every other person on that project for the few jobs that were still available in the company. I had one option though, and I took it. That option was to compete for a job that on paper I wasn't qualified for. But I'd already been working basically in that field for many years at that point. I knew I could do the job. I couldn't get through the normal hiring department because of my lack of qualifications, but I was able through the Toastmaster contacts I had. Remember earlier I mentioned that when I walked into that first Toastmaster meeting, the table seemed to be full of very important looking people? Well, if they weren't managers then, they were now. I got the interview. They couldn't give me the job, but they could give me the interview. That was important for me. I got the interview, got the job. My career just took right off. It was absolutely fantastic from that point on. In fact, I stayed many, many years past retirement age because I was enjoying myself so much. Now, I mentioned earlier that I started out shy. I'm still basically a shy person, but it's no longer a limiting thing for me, and I owe it to Toastmasters. Mr. Toastmaster,